Everybody. Welcome to our second Ushahidi V3 Community Hangout. This is the second part of our series of Hangouts this month, where we're trying to get people a little familiar with the platform. My name is Angela. I'm the Director of Community Engagement, and with me we have Jess over on the other side who's sharing her screen. Jess, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jess, and I'm a product manager for V3 for the core platform.
You're lucky. I was just about to ask you, who are you? Like you're going to edit on what your name is. Anyway, just a couple of house rules. For those of you who are joining us online, feel free to post any of your questions either on the Google Plus event page over there or on Hipchat, IRC, or Gitter. Posting on any one of these will actually show up on all of them at the same time. So we'll field your questions whenever we're ready. Last week, we took you guys through a basic introduction into what Ushahidi version 3 is, some of the new feature sets that we have, and the differences between the old platform and the new one. This week, we want to take a bit of a deeper dive into how exactly the platform works, using an interesting use case, which Jess will tell you about. I won't sell that out. So yeah, welcome. We'll take about maybe 15 to 20 minutes and then open up the floor for questions. Without further ado, I know I keep saying that a lot. Jess, you can take over.
Okay. So just to start, this is kind of what you're going to see when you get into a blank deployment. So I'm going to just walk you through kind of the basics of setting up your deployment, getting all of the settings that you'd like, customizing your deployment in terms of the header image. And for this case, we're going to actually use environmental disasters. So I'm going to do two types of posts. We're going to do flooding and then also wildfires. So I get into my deployment. I'm logged in as an admin. First thing I'm going to do is go to General Settings. And I'm going to change my site name from Demo to Environmental Disasters. I'm going to say place to report flooding and wildfires in your area as the description. And I'm going to choose a custom background image. And I'm going to do something that I've already got here, a demo image, just of nice trees, environment. My contact email address, I'm going to use mine so that people can get in touch with me if they need to. And time zone, I'm going to save as UTC just because it's going to be a global deployment. So I'm not going to set a particular time zone. And I'm going to save the language as English. So now
just before you move on, back on the settings, the contact email address, before, whenever you put an email address there, it would, we'd have a contact page that would be tied to that. Do we have the same thing right now?
No, not so. It is going to be shown on your deployment. It's not going to be per se a contact page, but people can get in touch with you if you choose to share an email address.
Okie doke. Sorry for interrupting you. Go on. I'll ask the questions afterwards. I'll just make notes.
No, that's good. Okay, so now as you can see, I've saved my site settings, and now the title of the deployment is now Environmental Disasters. If you go back to your home page, it's now got a nice header image. It's very pretty. A place to report flooding and wildfires in your area. So what I'm going to do next is go into my map settings. And here's where I'm going to choose my default location. So it's already put in Nairobi for me since I am in Nairobi. And I'm going to choose how I want the map to look. So it's either going to be kind of a traditional map, what you would see in Google Maps, or it's going to be satellite imagery, or the humanitarian map. So different looks and feels depending on what you'd like. I'm going to choose map for mine. I'm going to leave my latitude and longitude at the default of where my current location is. And then your default zoom level, let's see, I zoom in. I don't want it quite that close because I said, this is going to be kind of a global map. So I'm going to leave it at 1, just so that when you open it up, everyone's default view is the whole entire world. And then combine nearby reports. This just means that if you check this on, if you have several reports close to each other, in the zoomed out view, you're going to see one icon, one marker that says 12 reports in this area. And as you click on that marker, it will zoom in and get more detailed as you go. So I'm going to save those settings. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my data sources. So I'm not going to go through this in any detail right now, just because none of these are actually configured. But you can configure email to accept posts from email, Frontline SMS, Nextmo, SMS Sync, and Twilio, which are all SMS gateways, and Twitter. So if you wanted to, you could turn these on and configure as you'd like. I'm not going to do that today. We'll go into that a little more in depth in the future. So right now, this map only accepts posts through the web app. So if I go into post types, this is really where you're gonna structure how you receive information and what kind of data you're receiving. So this is really what drives your deployments. So we've got an existing post type in here, which is just a basic post with location. But I'm going to start from scratch and add a new post type. So I'm going to name this, we'll start with flooding. So flood, report a flood in your area. I'm going to save that post type. And this brings you into the structure of the post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new field to this. And the most important thing is going to be the location of where someone saw this. Field default, I'm just going to change this to location of flood sighting. And I'm going to say this field is required. Let's take and close that. Oh, key must not be. So if you don't fill in required fields, it will give you feedback on that.
So just a quick question as you're creating that. So whenever you create a new post type, it doesn't come with a set of default fields already. It comes as an empty form that you need to fill in with your own custom fields, right?
That's exactly. And so this is all customizable. And I think this is really where it's especially robust in V3 versus V2. You can custom forms is a big, powerful feature here. So you can customize it however you'd like. So I'm going to add another field that just says date that you saw it. Say this field is required, save and close. All right, I'm going to change this here. So you can go in and edit at any time. I'm just going to have this say, all right. And here I'm going to say, I'm going to do a checkbox. And I'm going to ask anyone who's reporting this, have you reported this to, or let's see. I reported this to the local authorities. All right. And I'm not going to make that required. All right, so now we've got a basic structure of what I want to collect. And now what I'm going to do is actually look into steps of this post type. So once I create a post type, here, and I'll take you back to home and actually just say add post. And so now we've got a flood post type, and you can say flooding. I saw flooding in my neighborhood. This is as if I were someone reporting. I'm going to say I saw it in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm going to search for that location. All right, great. I witnessed the flooding on September 9th, and I did not report this to the local authorities. So I'm going to publish to, let's say I just want to publish to admin, and then I'm going to save that. Okay, so now this post is now on my map as a flooding. And when you look at the map, there it is.
Awesome sauce. Okay, just to take you back a little bit back on the post submission page. Could you talk a little bit more about the publishing just to the admin? Like, what was the thinking around adding in all those different options, and why we're making that available to the users right now? Because before, what we used to do was just you go in and you submit a post or a report, and then it's really up to the admin to figure out whether they're going to publish it or not. So the whole concept of having someone who's interacting with your website for the first time, choosing who their audience is something that's fairly new.
Sure. So this feature is really only going to be available to the admin of the site. And what this allows you to do is, if a post isn't ready to publish publicly, you're then available to just publish it to certain audiences. So either members of your site that don't have admin capability, maybe someone that needs to do something, which is right up here, this post steps, which I'll go into next. Or you can publish to everyone, the public, everyone, or you can keep it as draft. So this kind of allows you to, based on the stage of the post, if it needs to be verified, for instance, if you need to follow up on something, or if it's sensitive information that can't be shared with the public, you can keep that private to only your members or your admin. All right. So now I'm going to go in and kind of show you the steps, which I think is the other really powerful feature on V3. So if we go back into post types, let's go back into flood. And what we're going to do is add a new step. So here you can go in and edit your structure if you so wish. But we're just going to go into add a new step. And this is really where workflows come about. So this allows you to structure a workflow around your internal processes. And if you have a team or you have certain requirements for posts, incoming posts, you can add those here. So I'm going to add verify location of flood first. And I'm going to say this step is required. So we've got step 1. I'm just going to add a location field, and I'm going to call this verified location. And then what I'm going to say is, okay, after we verify the location of the flood, what's next? Let's say contact local authorities. Say this step is required as well. Okay, so now we've got 2 basic steps in this post type. So any incoming posts, and Angela, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and actually add a post not logged in. Don't log into the demo. So
okay.
let me send you this.
Thank you. He's just sharing the link with me via Hipchat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so there, I just sent you the link. If you would do me a favor and go in and just add a post, just fill it out with dummy information. It doesn't have to be comprehensible.
And under the flood post type, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, give me a sec. Yeah, here we go.
And I'm going to finish while you do that, filling out the steps.
No worries, and you can just keep talking through it.
Perfect. So for contact local authorities, I'm going to say we need to know, let's see, short text. I'm going to say which local authority, or let's say name of local authority. Save and close that. And I'm going to say we need to know the date that it was reported. And I'm going to ask, the last thing I'm going to ask is name of reporter. This is going to tell me, this is going to give me a few things. If I'm an organization with multiple employees or a team of volunteers, I'm going to know who's responding and when, which I think is great for especially group coordination, just making sure that no one's doubling work and making sure you have a clear outline of who's doing what. All right, so now we've got all of our posts, all of our steps lined up in this. Okay, Angie, I think this is your post.
And I'll probably ask you a question once you've run through what you wanted to show, guys. Just
sure. So when that post, Angela, when you added that post, what's going to happen? Angie's random post. So you're going to see this come in, and you're going to see step structure. So if I click on this, that didn't work the way I expected it to.
It's fine. It's okay. It's part of the learning process and the learning curve. So I guess what we need to do is make sure that we post that on GitHub issues for the team to fix.
Well, it might have been like save the step before you posted the post type. Does that make sense? Like you posted a post type without it having to these steps.
Basically enforcing whether the post type actually goes through the step or
exactly. Yeah.
So that's a setting that you need to do as an admin, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Once you set up these steps and save them and posts start coming in, what it'll do is it'll tell you what stage they're at. And if it requires multiple steps, oh, here we go. That's it. So right now it's at structure, contact local authorities, mark is complete. So here you've got all of the steps that this post needs to go through before you publish. So this is really where your workflows come in. And like I said, it's all about team coordination in this case.
Can I jump in and ask my question now before I forget?
Yes, please.
So when I was creating the post as someone who wasn't logged in, I was actually able to see all those different steps that were added there. Is that something that we've done on purpose, or because I would think that the ideal situation would be as somebody who's just out in the public, that I would just come in and share, whatever information it is I'm sharing, but then the steps are only visible to the admins or whoever's running in the background and taking them through those different steps. So just clarification around that.
No, that should not happen. Log that as an issue in Git.
This is a lesson to everybody who's watching. In case you jump into any bugs on the platform, please do log them in. I'll paste in the link to the GitHub issues page. But yes.
So yeah, if I just go in and say, start filling in these steps, which yeah, you should not be able to see them as a general member of the public. I'm going to say I reported it on the 16th and Jess reported it. Save that. And now you've got more info in this post. So yeah, I mean, if you went through and filled out, obviously this deployment in particular doesn't have a ton of data already in it. So what I'm going to do is actually switch over to another demo site that has quite a bit of data.
So while you're doing that, so I actually have someone from the Nairobi community here with us, and he has a question. Adam, I'll get your question as soon as Evans is done with his. Evans?
Hey, Jess.
Hello.
So sorry to take you back, but when you were showing how the form you had created was displayed, when you were showing it, there was a checkbox that you'd created for, did I report this to the authorities? And the only option that came with the checkbox was just, did I report this to the authorities? The options for yes and no, which you had also added to it, didn't show up. Is that a problem, or is it supposed to be like that? Do you get the options after you check the box? Because if you didn't check the box, then even if it was a no, then no one would know whether you actually did or not. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely making sense. It's actually an issue that our community caught this past week, just a few days ago. So that's been logged. That's a bug. It should show up as yes or no, and you can check the boxes of the appropriate ones.
Awesome. Just before you jump onto that, still on the same side of things, Adam wants to know what feedback a user would see that they're required to complete further steps. But I guess we've answered that by saying that end users who are not logged in ideally shouldn't see the steps themselves. So that's actually a quirk in the system, right?
Yeah, that's a bug.
Okay. All right, we'll file that. Adam, I hope we answered your question. You can show us I'm assuming you're showing the live, the demo set that we have, right? demo.platform.ushahidi.com.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okie dokes. I still can't see your screen though.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is the demo platform that we have we've released the hounds, and everyone has been loading data and kind of all different kinds of post types and dummy data in here. So what you're seeing here is just the list view. And what I've done is I've gone to saved searches. So saved searches, which we'll be able to go into in more detail in a later cast. These are just kind of quick filtered retrievable views. So you get a set of filters that you like and that shows you the information you want to see, and you can quickly just kind of go and select them. So what I've done is select unstructured posts, and these are basically incoming posts that have not been structured yet. So you as an admin need to go in and you need to say, this, for instance, this post is at step structure. So what I'm going to do is go in and update. And what we see is all the different post types that you can possibly choose for this. And I actually didn't even read the post itself, so I'm just going to choose a random one. I'm going to add a title, incentivization. I don't even think that's a word. There's no real category here. Nairobi. Select the date and the time. I'm just gonna paste in there. All right, so what I've done is this post is now structured and it has a where and when step. So I filled that out, and so I'm going to mark as complete. And now we are complete and we can publish to everyone. So that's kind of how steps work with incoming posts that are not structured, so they don't have a post type yet. And this is especially applicable to information coming in from Twitter, coming in from SMS, from those data sources where users aren't interacting with the interface directly.
Right. I I have a question around unstructured posts.
Yes.
And this is just for the sake of guys who don't quite understand what exactly that means. I guess my understanding of that was, things like any messages that are coming in via SMS or coming in via email or coming in via Twitter, stuff that hasn't actually gone through the different steps that we have set up. Anything that you have to transform into a proper post, that those are what we call unstructured posts, right?
That's exactly right. So if you look at this list of unstructured posts, I mean, these are descriptions of what's happening. So this in particular is from Twitter, right? But a Twitter post that's automatically pulled in isn't going to be structured in the way that you need your data structured. And so what this allows you to do is have a very streamlined structure for all of your data, which I'm going to show you why is so important right now. So once you've structured posts and you have clear categories, post types, descriptions, time and date, what you can do is actually go in and we have kind of very easy to navigate visualizations of the data. So one click to get to a bar chart. And this is comparing categories, right? But you can also compare types. So types of posts: notice board, service rating, routes, crime, humanitarian, status. So you can quickly see how many are in draft and how many are in publish. And then you've got timeline, which is simply different variables along a timeline. So posts, number of posts, categories, type, all of that good stuff. And then you can also show cumulative totals versus daily. And eventually, what we're working on now is improving these visualizations so that you can see weekly, monthly, various time increments. And then also kind of most popular posts, we're working on an activity dashboard. So that's why it's important to, when you get unstructured data, to structure that.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm just about to take you back to steps. Adam just clarified a little on what exactly his question was. So I'll just read out what exactly he said. I suppose I meant, what will the users see to tell them their required steps in structured posts? They aren't able to save the post unless they've completed the required steps. So what does a feedback look like if they haven't hit marked as complete? And I'm guessing that applies to the admins. Like, if you haven't done that, then what prompt do you get to tell you need to actually make sure you do this?
Yep. So this is something where you do get some feedback, but this is actually something that we got feedback on in the last round of user testing that we're working on. So for instance, and it's a great question, if you go to update on an unstructured post, say we just do service rating, and we don't fill in any of these steps, and I say I want to publish to everyone. And this is an only admin and users with permissions will be able to see these steps. This is not supposed to be something that the public sees. So you see, you get the required step name service is not marked complete. So you do get a demo box. We're working on how to better give that feedback loop in that this needs to be completed before it can happen.
Alrighty. Do you think we have time to go through saved searches just a little bit?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right, so if you want to make a saved search, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your deployment. And typically typically you're not coming here to make a saved search. Typically you're coming here to find the data, drill down on the data, and really see what you want to see. So let's say I want to see explosions, and I only want to see explosions and sorry, it's a little messy just because there's so much data in here. I want to see draft explosions. So I've got this. Let's see if it actually gave me any data. No. Hang on, let me get something that actually gives me. Oh. This is likely not populating because there's like 52,000 posts in here.
Okay.
Hang on. Well, anyway, so let me do it without even. So let's say I want explosions, and I want the current stat, or let's see, I want the status to be draft. So what I'm looking for is indications that something needs to be done as an admin from my side to make sure that this is published to the public, that there's been explosion somewhere. Let's see. Let's update search and see if that's not going to give it to me.
It's okay. We'll blame it on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, connection in .k is it's not quite as good as we would expect this week. So if you're actually online and want to play around with it yourself, just go to demo.platform.ushahidi.com. The username is demo, password is testing, and you'll be able to actually see exactly what Jess is trying to describe.
Exactly. So
yeah,
you would actually just save this search, and you would name the search, and what it would do is actually the next time you load that page, it would come up under your saved searches. So I would save this as draft reports of explosions, or it needs attention now to indicate the urgency. And I would be able to just quickly retrieve that anytime I wanted to.
I know that this is a question I asked last week, but now practically, the main difference between a collection and a saved search, like, if I go in and I search for, reports, the ones that haven't been acted upon, or the ones that haven't been reported, what's the difference between that and me putting a collection of posts that, haven't been acted upon? Like, what's the difference between those two, and what's the reasoning behind it? Using this data set as an example.
Yeah, so saved searches are kind of an automatic filter, a set of filters that you've saved and you kind of bookmarked. So what's going to happen with a saved search is every time new data comes in that falls under that set of filters, that particular set of filters, it's going to automatically update in your saved searches. So whenever you retrieve this, so post since August 12th, it's going to give me every post since August 12th, real time up to today. The difference in collections is that, so if I create a collection, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to new collection, which again, sorry if it's not going to respond to me. There we go. And I'm going to name, let's say, Jess's collection. These are posts I find interesting. Who can see this? So I can set, who can actually see this collection. I can keep it private to only admin, members of the site, or even everyone. So I'm going to say everyone. I'm going to, default view is going to be map. I'm going to feature this. So I'm going to save that, and that just pops down into collections. But collections is really like a curated group of posts. So it's something that you are manually adding to. It's not automatically updated. So if I go into all posts, sorry, again, this is, okay, here we go. If I go to all posts and I select this, I'm going to add it to this collection that I've created. It does not, oh, it's unstructured, sorry. Let's go publish post. All right, it's not it's not going to work for me, but usually you would go in, add to collection, select Jess's collection, and that post would go in there. So if I go into this collection, there's probably nothing on there, maybe one or two, because again, this is just people testing it out. But you see kind of someone has created a collection of bribes, they've added one post to it. So this is curated over time by you. It's not an automatic set of filters that's going to update real time with the incoming posts.
All right, no worries. The good thing is, because we recorded this, if anyone is going through this or even right now, they can actually go ahead and do it themselves and see how exactly it will work for them. So
yeah,
don't stress about the bad connection. I think we have about less than 10 minutes. I think just, let's see, 2 questions of my own as I open up the floor for other questions. So if you're actually watching on the live stream and have any questions, now's the time. Jump in and post that either on the event page, or if you're on Hipchat, Gitter, or IRC, post on any one of those and we'll get the questions and I'll field them. So I remember that when we were going through the settings page, we went through stuff like, email, Twitter, Twilio, and all of that stuff. And I know that for most guys out there, SMS is something that's really, really huge for them. So could we talk a bit about what plans we have there? Like, what have we done so far? What else do we need to do, and our focus around mobile?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in terms of SMS, it's basically what you're going to get is what you would have gotten in V2, which is we've got, several different providers for SMS gateways that you can use. You have to provide your own gateway, so you have to provide your own mobile phone. So we've got Twilio, we've got Nexmo, we've got SMS Sync, and we've got Frontline SMS. What we're planning on doing, so let me just quickly go in here. If you look at current setup of this, we've got SMS Sync on this. So here it's a simple scan this QR code with your phone, you download the app, you follow the link, and basically you set this kind of secret password that allows only your authorized device to send and receive the message. You can set up automatic responses from the SMS. So as if someone sends in a post via SMS to the particular number you've identified or you've configured, you can set it up to have an auto response that just confirms that you've received their post, which is always a nice feature to have, letting people know that their input has been received, which is great. I think in terms of planning, I think it's definitely something we want to do to figure out how to actually negotiate with SMS providers and kind of streamline this SMS gateway process so that it's not as manual of a setup, and it's something that we could automatically push to the deployment and have a little bit more automation and streamlining in there. But yeah, as of now, what you're going to get is basically what you got in V2.
Okie dokes. Awesome. I just realized that was actually the only question I had. Is there anybody else in the audience who has any burning question? Going once, going twice. I know that Adam wanted to dive a little bit more into the aspect of having users see structured posts or not, but it seems like that's more of a deeper issue that we can probably cover offline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, considering the amount of time that we have, it probably looks like we don't have that many people who have any questions. But what I'll say is that we definitely have all of our channels open to you to share your feedback with us. Today was basically just a very quick run through, a bit of a deeper dive into how to use version 3. Like Jess said, we're probably going to set up a couple of other deeper dive into, setting up SMS or setting up your email and watching all of that stream in, but then also setting up a series of discussions around, broader why we design things the way we do. So we're actually going to have the design team probably next week or the other talking to us about all the stuff that we're doing with the pattern library and all the recommendations they got from user experience studies. So even as you prepare for all of that, you can always feel free to share feedback with us on our GitHub issues page, which I pasted over there. Thank you guys so much for joining in today. It's always a pleasure to have you join us and watch and ask questions and keep yourselves engaged. Remember that this Hangout has been recorded, which means it will be available for you to watch afterwards and just go through it. In case you're having any trouble figuring out how save suches worked or how post types work for you in your specific situation, just go ahead and try that out. We're going to be hosting our next Hangout next week, which is the 17th, the 24th of September. We'll be sharing more details on the timing of that. If you're in Nairobi, you can join us the same way Evans did and just kind of have this discussion with us here in person. Or if you feel that you actually do want to join the Hangout itself, feel free to ping me and I'll add you on there. What are the calls to action? Oh yes, please remember to help us translate the platform into as many languages as possible. It would be really good if you could have it available for everybody across the entire world. If you want to jump into the code, do that as well. And remember, something really, really, really awesome is coming soon, a hosted version of Ushahidi in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned and go into www.ushahidi.com and sign up for early access. Thank you very much. Just say bye.
Sorry, I was on mute.
No worries.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.